kids, and thank you so much for coming back for another episode of I Love Learning with Miss Leah. And today we are going to do something exciting. Okay, I know how much you boys and girls love to do science experiments in the class, so today I'm going to show you a science experiment here. And guess what? Guess what? You can do it at home too. It's so easy, and you're going to be so amazed at what you see. And it's easy to do. You ready to see? You sure? Come on, okay, kids. We are in Miss Leah's kitchen, okay? And I have all of the materials that we need to do this experiment. Rub-a-dub-dub. There's pepper in my tub. And in this experiment, you'll use pepper floating on water to demonstrate how soap affects the surface or the top of water. Okay, this is a really quick experiment, but it's so fun to watch that I'll want you to repeat it several times. Okay, so let's state the problem. The problem is, how does soap interact with water? So the materials you're going to need is a shallow pan or bowl, pie tin. You're going to need water, pepper. This is my dish soap, and a toothpick. That's it. That's all material you need. So here's the procedure. First, you have to fill the bowl with 1 inch of water. And you really, I don't know if you can see it, but you see it moving? I have water already in it. So the water is inside of my pan. Next, we're going to sprinkle the pepper evenly, okay, across the surface or top of the water. And try not to sneeze, because you know sometimes pepper makes you sneeze. So try not to sneeze. Try not to sneeze. So we're going to put the pepper evenly all across the water. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Put the pepper in it. Just take this up and show you. I'll show you what it looks like. See? There goes the pepper, the water in the tin, or you can use a bowl. All right, see the pepper in there? Now the pepper flakes should float, okay? They should float, not sink on top of the surface of the water. Okay, you see how they're floating? I'm moving the pan so you can see it moving. Okay. So you saw the pepper. All right. So next, the third thing you're going to do. Sorry, I got a position. Okay. So the third thing you're going to do is squeeze a tiny bubble of dish soap onto a clean counter, but I didn't know. You put on a plate. There's my, I don't know if you can see it. There's my dish soap. It's right on there. So you just put just a little bit of dish soap. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the tip of the toothpick, or if you want to use your finger, you can use your finger. You're going to take the toothpick and dip it into the soap. And before you do that, before you poke the toothpick with the soap on it or your finger into the water, I want you to think. Think about when you touch the soapy toothpick or your finger in the water? What do you think will happen? How will the pepper flakes react? This is what we call a hypothesis. An hypothesis is an educated guess. So all you're doing is guessing. What do you think will happen when we take the toothpick and put it in the water? And also, how will the pepper flakes react? Okay? So once you thought about it, you can tell your parents, tell your mommy, or tell your brother and sister, whoever's there. You can tell them what they think will happen. And, okay? So you got your thought? Okay. Now, after you talked about your hypothesis, your educated guess of what you think will happen to the toothpick when we dip it in the water, and also how will the pepper flakes react. So I'm going to take my toothpick, dip it in the soap, dish soap, and I'm going to touch the center of the water. Watch what happens. Did you see it? Did you see how the pepper flakes move away? Check it out. Did you see it? Let's try it again. I'll do it again. This time I have a plate. I used a white styrofoam plate, and there's the pepper. Okay, now let's watch what happens. Okay, again, I'm going to take my toothpick and dip it in the soap, and then take the soap and touch the center of the plate. You see how the pepper, almost like the pepper flakes went to the side, right? They went apart. So what happens? Was your hypothesis correct? Or was your guess correct? So the results are that most of the pepper flakes should have darted to the sides of the pan, and some should have fallen to the bottom of the pan, or in this case, the plate. So I'm back. So you may ask why? Why do the pepper flakes float? Why not sink or dissolve in the water? Well, pepper is not attracted at all to water. And because of that, the pepper can't dissolve in the water. And the pepper will stay floating on top. Remember we talked about sink and float? Floating means it stays on the top surface of the water. Sink is when it goes down to the bottom. Well, that's what happened to the pepper. The next question is, why did the pepper shoot to the sides when the soap touches the water? Well, soap is able to break down the tension of water. That's part of what makes soap a good cleaner to clean with. So as soap moves into the water, making the tension change, the pepper no longer flows to the top, but the water molecules, they still want to keep the surface tension of the water going. So they pull back away from the soap and carry the pepper along with them. Now you can do this same experiment at your house. Make sure you have your parent with you when you do this. And you can do the same experiment using olive oil, or if you have hairspray, you can use that in substitute of the soap. And then you can ask or hypothesize and guess, do you think that the pepper flakes will react in the same way? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining I Love Learning with Miss Leah. Until next time, bye kids.